This year is our 75th anniversary, and it's only fair, I think, to look back a little bit. Elan was established by Rudi Finšgar in 1945 when he uttered his legendary sentence, "Who would think of time, who would think about money? The world is waiting for me and for Elan." He was a passionate ski jumper, educated carpenter and innovator. Before he founded Elan, he was creating skis and equipping the local Partizan guerrilla who were fighting against the Nazi occupation force in the Slovenian Alps. After the war was over, Elan was created and flourished under his leadership. In 1949, the Nautical division was established, mostly due to the seasonality of the ski manufacturing business. First, kayaks, canoes and small boats were made of special waterproof wood. Early commercial success actually came in the 50s, when many small boats were exported to the United States. Shortly after, the first glass-reinforced plastic technology was introduced in the early 60s, with Elan Neptune becoming the first official GRP model in, I think, 62. Then, many smaller GRP motorboats and boats with masts and sails were produced. But the first, let's say, larger, serious livable sailing boat was produced in 78, and that was the historic Elan 707. It was a small yacht, but it had the seeds of what we are today. Then in the 80s were, let's say, synonymous with significant shift towards the production of larger cruising racing segment. This is the period that influenced and defined what Elan is and stands for this day. Elan Express, Elan 19 and especially Elan 31, which won the quarter-ton championship, were the yachts that were dominating that era. Then in 1995, Elan started cooperating with the renowned nautical designer Humphreys, resulting in many successful, also award-winning projects. This collaboration continues to this day. The yachts created in the 90s with his naval architecture opened Elan to the world and solidified us as a global shipyard. The 90s was the era where Elan focused heavily on its core DNA, delivering cruiser racing sailing yachts, or what Rob Humphreys calls a 60-60 rule, producing models such as legendary 333, Elan 36, Elan 40 and Elan 45. Not resting on our laurels, we made a major technological shift short after in 2003, when we started using vacuum-assisted infusion lamination technology, let's call it VAIL, throughout our complete portfolio. We were the first serial yacht manufacturer in Europe using VAIL and third shipyard in the world. And VAIL is great for a bunch of reasons. First off, it gets the resin spread out perfectly in the GRP, so everything is saturated without any missed spots. Then, it's all about using just the right amount of resin, which means the yacht ends up lighter and we're not wasting any resin at all. Plus, the mechanical properties are consistent, and since it cuts out human error, we get a spot-on product every single time. Last but not least, it's way better for our employees working in that environment and the environment in general as such. In 2004, we expanded our product portfolio further and went into cruising segment with the launch of our Impression line. We created the first so-called semi-deck saloon class. This means the cruising yacht has a raised coach roof and offers more interior volume and light, something that is now pretty much standard in the industry. The first model was the Impression 434, followed by the 384, and then Impression 344. The 344 won our first European Yacht of the Year award back in 2006, and yeah, we were very proud of that. After the Impression line was established, it was a huge success, and this allowed us to innovate in our core, go back to our roots of cruiser racers. We started by creating the Elan 340 that replaced the wildly successful Elan 333. We won another European Yacht of the Year award in 2007 with the 340, reflecting the innovative design of the yacht. Same year, we completed Impression range with its largest produced sailing yacht since, the Elan Impression 514. However, the focus and product portfolio expansion remained on cruiser racing yachts, as we then created larger models such as Elan 410, Elan 450 and 380. The 450 was a very significant yacht. As Rob Humphreys applied twin rudders to it, this was a result of his experience in short-handed offshore racing designs. This was the first important step in a new direction, an innovative approach to the cruiser racing segment of the time. Actually, this fully matured with the introduction of the next yacht, the Elan 310. This yacht had an innovative new hull geometry and was the first yacht of its type that had hard chines. This, coupled with twin rudder system, provided exceptional control, as well as performance and the ability to sail it short-handed. It was still a cruising boat, or rather, it had everything a cruising boat should have, but it was fast. This design shined the most in the Elan 350, yet another European Yacht of the Year awarded model. And that was back in 2011, with a unanimous decision made by all jury members. So this was the birth of a new era of Elan. We had since been redesigning, modernizing both the Elan Impression line and also what was eventually named the E line, the updates to the Elan 350 and Elan 400. We have also been innovating in our composite VAIL technology and upgraded it with what is now known as 3D VAIL. That's an even more advanced version of the vacuum infusion system that incorporates stringer geometry into the hull, making it stiffer, stronger and safer. The next, what I would call watershed moment, was introducing the GT6 back in 2020. Not only was it time for us to introduce a new yacht, but it was time to remind the world of our innovative spirit. This is a Gran Turismo yacht, one that introduced a new era of a short-handed, mid-range cruiser with a performance hull geometry, twin rudder system and high-end luxurious super yacht cruising interior. All of that in sub-50-foot yacht. The GT6 is still considered as our flagship. It was also the first 50-foot yacht of its type with a flush deck design. The GT6 was also the first example of a cooperation with an external industrial design house, in this case with Studio FA Porsche. Together we truly pushed the styling to the next level. Then came the E6 in 2021, a new yacht in our performance cruising segment. The brief was very simple: to create the lightest fully fitted performance cruiser with a hull length of approximately 46 feet. Humphreys Yacht Design created an amazing hull geometry and sail plan. We coupled also with Gurit to push our GRP knowledge to the highest possible level, and Pininfarina, the legendary design studio, made sure the styling was world class. It was a challenge, but the yacht ended up being like no other we ever produced before. Then, with over 650 yachts created and 18 years in production, the Impression 434, or rather the Impression 45.1 as it was called in the end, was in dire need of a new design, and this led to the new Impression 43. A new modern hull, daring interior, safety, comfort and easy sailing, our new cruiser had everything a family would need to have an enriching experience in the water. Our most recent announcement, the last yacht we developed, is the Elan GT6 Explorer. With the Explorer, we were opening ourselves to a completely new segment, into long cruise segment or blue water segment if you like. The GT6 was a great platform to build the Explorer on, with excellent seakeeping abilities, the luxury one needs for long voyages, and capacity for self-sufficiency. To sum up, our identity is deeply intertwined with history and what that history it is. We were always innovative, we were focused to be adaptable, we made huge leaps forward for ourselves and many times for the industry in general. This innovation, whether related to design, functionality, sailing focus and craftsmanship, are the things that kept us going and will keep us going for what I hope will be at least another 75 years.